Hello, my spooky friends. This is John, your host of Dairyland Frights in the spookier podcast, Nightland Frights. And I wanted to thank all my spooky friends out there for listening. I truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and rate us 5 stars. It helps me make this a better podcast. And make sure you comment what guests you would like me to have on, what topics you would like me to talk about. It's only going to make this podcast better. So again, thank you so much for listening. And please go to my Patreon. Check that out. Become a Parascani for only $3, a spooky friend for $1. And remember, stay spooky. Hello, my spooky friends, and welcome to the paranormal podcast, Dairyland Frights, that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest and beyond. And I'm your host, John, and on the podcast tonight is Abbie from Lifting the Veil. She's from the UK. I love my UK people. I just had some a couple on, paranormal investigators on, and every time I can get international people on, I love it because you guys have such a rich history. I mean, like, it's just blows my mind. I know America has a rich history too, but in the UK, it's such a great history. So thank you, Abbie, for joining me. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on. I mean, we've got the history, but you guys have got more of the energy on the surface because your history is so recent. You find the stories from America and the hauntings from America, they just seem to be a little bit more alive, so to speak.
Yeah. We have a lot of different things. Obviously, Gettysburg is one of our biggest thing. That's where a lot of paranormal investigators, kind of like their on their wish list to go because it's so many things happening. But obviously in the UK, there's so many different things: jails, haunted homes, pubs, on and on and on. The list goes on and on and on. It's awesome.
We don't really have the asylums anymore. They've kind of been turned into apartments.
Yeah.
Whether you'd want to live in them or not is another story.
That blows my mind. Doesn't that blow your mind? Like, here at this asylum, let's be honest, they didn't treat people with much respect, right?
No.
And then it's your flat or your apartment now. What could go wrong?
Just got The Exorcist on speed dial,
Hello? Yes, priest, show up. We need you. Okay. Again? Yes, again. Just get here.
Instead of Southwest water, let's just plug in the holy water.
Yeah,
just tap it straight in.
Right, yeah, we got a little squirt gun, as we would say here in the States, and just blasting everybody with it. So, Abbie, tell me about Lifting the Veil. It is a radio show. What I love about, I was reading your website, which is awesome website, by the way, and looking through some of your different investigations, which you can comment on, obviously. But why did you start it? Well, what I don't know, gave you kind of the empowerment to say like, hey, I really want to do this. This is something I would love to do.
Well, I kind of had a bit of a paranormal life, so to speak. I've had experiences from a very early age. My first house where I lived and I grew up, it's no longer there anymore. It's been demolished. There used to be a spirit of a woman there, and I used to call her Letsy because I couldn't see her. I could only hear her. So that kind of sparked off my passion for it throughout life and having experiences growing up. Then I joined Haunted Devon and since gone on to become chair of the club. And then the opportunity came to host a radio show on Sound Art all about the paranormal. And I started that in 2012. And I've been doing it ever since. So I've had some amazing guests, amazing subjects, and been on some amazing investigations and met some truly fabulous people.
Yeah, before we talk about that, Abbie, back up. When was your first paranormal experience? Do you remember what age and what happened?
I was a toddler, so I was quite young. The house, I guess you'd call it poltergeist activity. My mom has told me a lot of the stuff because obviously I can't remember a lot of it being so young, but we used to have light bulbs unscrewed, the telly used to turn on and off, and things used to get moved around. I do remember this one incident that my nan and my mom came crashing into my bedroom when I was asleep because they heard all the furniture moving around and they thought, what's going on? What's she doing? I was asleep in my bed, but my bed was kind of in the middle of the room instead of to the side. So there was a lot going on. And I used to say to my mum, I can't get to sleep. They're talking to me. So she used to have to come in of a night and just say, leave her alone. She's trying to sleep. But I think the most bizarre incident would be when my mom was getting me dressed. I was got to be coming up to about 5, and she'd put this brown jumper on me, this horrible brown jumper, and we didn't know where it come from, and it didn't fit, and it was a goat's wool jumper, and not something that I had, so we had no idea where this old-fashioned goat's wool knitted jumper had come from, this handmade jumper. So we kind of assumed it was Letsy. I remember drawing a picture of her when I was little because I never saw her with my eyes, but I could see her with my mind, so to speak. Yeah, she was kind of almost like a Victorian lady, like hair in like a bonnet. And I wouldn't say formally dressed. I'd say quite, like an average working person. So she kind of like had a blouse and a pinny and a skirt, and she had a basket of wool and knitting needles. So we kind of assumed it came from her, but yeah,
Sure.
it was weird. So loads of stuff used to happen in the house. So you used to get apports, things used to appear, disappear, and noises. And yeah, this woman basically, Letsy, was kind of like my little guardian growing up. So
Nice.
she kind of kept me going. There was talk of maybe she was my great grandmother, by the way I described her. So we don't know if she was an actual spirit of the house or someone who was in the family who was just, looking after me as a child.
Sure. Obviously, this was more of a friendly, more of a loving ghost than
Yeah.
something you felt was evil. Did you ever feel like there was something evil in your house?
No, I never felt it was
Okay.
evil. It's just I couldn't sleep because they were just like talking to me overnight. So I used to
Yeah.
cry to my mom, like, I can't sleep because they keep talking to me. So my mom's very spiritual. We're very spiritual in the family. We've got a history of being sensitive. So it's something that she just kind of readily accepted as what I was telling her was true, that it wasn't just my imagination. And obviously with the activity that was going on in the house as well, it kind of backed that up. But it was never malevolent. It always felt very friendly, almost guardianship-like, but mischievous.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And that's kind of common for a lot of different people. I've spoke to numerous people who have haunted homes, and they all kind of share the same thing, Abby. They always say it's not like what you see in the movies. Some of it's like, oh, they're moving stuff, and it doesn't happen all the time.
No.
It's more like you come home and all the cupboard doors are open. You're like, okay. Or like, oh, where did these plates go? Where did my car keys go? So I've rarely have had people go like, oh my God, every day it's like,
Oh, no, it wasn't every day.
how could you live like that?
No, you
Right?
couldn't, could you?
You couldn't. It'd be impossible. Like, oh my God, I'm just trying to go to work or something. Will you just give me my shirt or whatever?
Where are my glasses? What you
Where
done
my
with them?
glasses? Like, guys, stop it, right? So, do you remember? This is one of my favorite questions. Do you remember your first paranormal investigation, and where did you go, and how did it go? I guess.
Well, it was in my 20s, so 20 years ago, a while ago now. And it was at a place called Bodmin Jail in Cornwall, which was built 1700s time. It was a very modern jail for its time, the first of its kind, which kind of like informed how prisons were built from then on. And it was a night ran by the jail itself by these two people. And it was a ghost night rather than investigation. It was my first one. I was very naive. I was very interested in it, researched the paranormal all my life, and obviously from experiences from when I was young. And yeah, a lot happened that night, but I kind of brought something back with me as well. I kind of ended up with a bit of an attachment. So,
Okay, what happened? Tell me more.
well, there wasn't exactly what you call spiritual protection on the go there. So there wasn't an open and there wasn't a close. So unfortunately, the people that were running it at the time, since then they had a brilliant medium, Mark Rablin, who we've worked with on cases before that have been on the slightly negative side. So, we've called him in because he's great with stuff like that. But I was followed all night by something, and I was actually pushed when I was in the toilets by myself. I'd gone to the toilet in the middle of the night. I mean, walking around these buildings, even back then by myself, it wasn't a problem for me. It was just like, as you go.
Wow. Okay.
So I left the group and went to the loo because I was busting for the loo, and they were mid-vigil somewhere in the bowels of the prison. And I was there by myself, and I'd gone up to what was the bar and restaurant area at the time and gone to the toilets. And I was drying my hands and I was pushed. and I kind of went backwards into the bin sort of thing. So I was like, okay, no, that's so not okay. Don't do that, please. Kind of ran out the toilets as fast as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought something home with me, which I affectionately called Bodmin Jail guy. I didn't want to know anything about him. I didn't want to open up to him. I didn't want to invite him in, basically. I kept him within the boundaries outside my house, so he was kind of like just outside, but he could get into the extension areas instead of the original building. Because I lived in, at the time, like an Edwardian townhouse villa sort of thing. And I was on the bottom floor, so that would have been the servants' areas, the kitchens, that sort of thing. And there were a few spirits there, and they were very good at keeping this guy out. To be fair, they didn't want the riffraff in. But yeah, it was noticed at the window, like people would see a flash of a knife at the front window. And in the kitchen and the extension area, you'd get like lots of things going on. It sounded like things were crashing around in the kitchen. You'd go in there, nothing's been moved. It primarily picked on me and my partner at the time, who I was living with. I kept telling him all these occurrences were going on, and he was like, "Oh, don't be silly, don't be silly." And it was very much targeting me. I slept in what was one of the extensions, so that wasn't good.
Boy, no.
You get things at the window, and I'd have these horrible, horrible dreams, recurring dreams, where I'd be pushed to the floor, my hair and my head pulled back and my throat cut. And he was blaming me for being caught, basically. So it's your fault I got caught. It was your fault I got caught, which was kept recurring in the dream. I was lying in bed one night with my partner at the time, and we both heard what sounded like executioner's drums. And he looked at me, I looked at him, and I was like, "See?" And he was like, "Holy shit," basically. And I said, "This is what I've been living with for like about 6 months at the time." As I said, I blocked him out the house, and I actually returned him to Bodmin Jail because I said he was outside in the garden. I wouldn't let him in the house because it was just like, no. People that came round, they could sense him, and I was just like, ignore him, just don't pay him any mind. He's not allowed in. I'm not having that in my house. And he was out there for a few years. And I was going back to Bodmin Jail this is after I joined Haunted Devon. And I was doing the show. And I just said to this guy, I said, "Look, like, you ain't going to get anywhere with me." I said, "I can take you back, come back with me." I said, "Go and pick on the people who are doing the haunted nights and get your jollies there, basically." So, cause you're not getting anything from me. I'm not afraid of you.
Right.
I said, once upon a time I might have been, but I've developed spiritually. I've been doing this a while now. I've developed, spiritual practices to keep you safe. And yeah, I deposited him back at Bodmin Jail. A week later, I interviewed on the show a local author called Jason Higgs, and he'd just done a book on Haunted Bodmin. And in this book, he told the story of Matthew Weeks and Charlotte Diamond. And I was live on air when he was explaining this story, and my jaw literally was just on the floor. He had murdered this girl, and they had a sketch of this girl. She kind of looked a bit like me, and he described her death, basically. He assaulted her. We won't go further than that.
Yeah, we get it.
He pushed her down, lifted up, pulled her head back and slit her throat, basically. So it was how I was dreaming it. And he blamed her for being caught because everyone knew it was him that killed him. And they put it all on these notice boards all around Cornwall, all around the parishes, for them to catch Matthew Weeks because he killed Charlotte Diamond. So he blamed her for being caught. So yeah, blame the victim, blame the person you've just killed.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Narcissistic ghosts, what can you say?
Yeah, come on, ghost.
Come on, guy, yeah. So, but my jaw hit the floor because, as I said, I didn't want to know anything about this guy. I wasn't going to connect with him in any way. But the recurring dreams that I had that he was giving me was exactly the same as the story of Matthew Weeks and Charlotte Diamond. And it was just like, what? When I was literally listening to him tell the story, I was just like...
Right? Yeah. That's a shock to the system.
Yeah.
That's a shock to anybody's system. I always say this to my paranormal ladies who do investigations. I have nothing but the utmost respect for you because it's really brave to do that because, let's be honest, and I hate to say this, but it's true, jails, asylums and stuff, women take more of the brunt of the activity, right? Because... And it's not only the men doing it, but, there are women in these asylums. I've spoken to paranormal investigators who have said women have attacked them.
Yeah.
or women, and I don't know, Abby, it just blows my mind that you want to continue to do it, right? Because that's something where you're having those dreams, right? And it's easy to say, I'm out like that, but you keep doing it. The other thing, and this is more nicer, I
Yeah.
feel, I guess, is the children there were children in jail. People forget
Well,
that.
yeah.
I mean, there were children in asylums. There were children in obviously hospitals.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot in jails. They did
Workhousing.
not. So they might have taken the pedophile and the child and stuck them in the same cell because, well, back in the 1700s, 1800s, they didn't know anybody. There wasn't such a thing. And like, hey, I got a 10-year-old kid, a pedophile, and a murderer. There's your room. Have a good time.
Well,
And I
families
and I
as
think,
well.
yeah, right. And
Especially
I
debt.
think,
You were put in
yeah,
prison in this country for being in debt. So a lot of Bodmin
yeah,
Jail was debtor's prison as well. So yeah,
correct,
it's yeah.
correct. But one thing is those children, they see you and they think, she seems like a nice lady.
Mm.
I'm going to try to communicate to her. Have you ever had an experience with a child spirit? And what happened?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
lots
go
of
ahead.
child spirits over the years. I find they're the hardest to cross over, to be honest with you. Children's
Why?
spirits, I don't know whether they're scared of the other side or if there's a group of them and they feel safe where they are. They do seem to be the hardest to cross. We're at this place in, it used to be a Haunted Devon exclusive. Sadly, it's closed down and been, and in the process of being sold since COVID. Is a place called Salem Chapel in East Budleigh, and I believe it has links to Salem in America. So hence
No.
the name. And one of the last witches in the UK was actually hung outside and buried within the grounds of the chapel as well. But there's a lot of children there, a lot of children, and
Yeah.
there's this particular pastor called I say pastor, it was a dissenters church, called oh God, Gordon Bennett, my brain's gone now. Samuel Leete. There we go.
Okay,
Gordon
there we
Bennett.
go.
If I forget him, he will come and haunt me, seriously.
Well, we don't want that.
No. Me and Samuel have a love-hate relationship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I respect him. He's a nasty
Yeah.
piece of work. He's the ruler of that church. That's his domain. But he was known to be a smuggler. A lot of children kind of around the area at the time. And when he passed away, him and his wife, the locals actually dug them up and reported the bodies. So popular, the man,
I like you. There we go.
popular. He has a smuggler's ledger that's never been found. Apparently, it's hidden in one of the passages because there's crypts and passages and all sorts in the chapel. But he dominates the children there. If we can get past Samuel, we can talk to the children. But the children there, they ring bells. And it is literally, you hear the ting ling 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 going on in the church, and you hear the school bell going. But when Samuel interjects, you get this. And we've recorded it a few times, this 180 decibel, like almost like arc, this crack that comes out of nowhere, which sounds like an arc of electricity. Now, I mean, I can send you the recordings. We've got the recordings from it.
Yes, please.
But me and we don't antagonize Samuel because, well, we don't antagonize anyway. We find it disrespectful. But he likes to pick on women, especially vulnerable women who have been through a lot. I won't have that. So I'm like, I will purposely say, come and pick on me. If you want to pick on someone, leave my team alone, and have a go at me instead. I can handle it, So he'll show up as a shadow right in front of your face and make you go, one night, it's probably one of the last times we were there. I think we'd done a training day there, and all the members were outside. The committee were just in the chapel, and Samuel had been literally riding me all night. He had been jumping out. He'd been breathing in my ear. I've been having growls. I just felt this presence on me all the time. And even the gang were like, Abs, you can't sit still. He goes, you are literally moving every 5 minutes and changing locations. I said, yeah, I've got Samuel on my bloody back, that's why. I was sat against this wooden pulpit, and it's like one of the, these square big wooden ones like you get maybe in the Baptist church and stuff like that over in America. And I was leant back on this pulpit and I was like, right, you come on then. It's just us lot here. If you're going to have a go, then do something, because I'm sick of all this in and out BS that you're giving me.
Yeah.
It was me, Sally and Kelly. We were leant against the pulpit and the thing moved. It literally jerked forward. And we were like, okay.
All right.
I was like, okay, you've had your fun, thank you.
Yep. We're good. We're good. We're good.
We're good. Yeah, you've proved your point. But no, I have great respect for Samuel because it's his place. He rules that place. It's his domain. He'll never move on. We have moved some of the children on in the past, and when he's been otherwise entertained elsewhere. But yeah, he keeps a tight rein. We do miss that place. It was run by the Historic Chapels Trust, but during COVID they went under, and
No.
it's the only dissenters chapel in the UK with a school building next to it as well. So it is a rare thing, and it's got so much history to it. And it's got Kath Hoyle, who runs it or used to run it and knows all the history for it. She's in her 80s and she's absolutely fabulous. And I want to do some work with her and get her history and stories all down in book form. So we don't lose that local knowledge from her. But it's a place we went to very, very regularly, and it's somewhere we're very fond of. But don't know Samuel.
My goodness. Oh wow. That's oof. That'd be a rough one. Let me ask you this. One of the most, least from my point of view, what I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the Borley Rectory. Is that still a famous case, or has that kind of disappeared through time?
It's kind of disappeared through time now. Borley Rectory is a bit controversial. Harry Price is a bit controversial. I don't doubt that he was a good investigator at his time, but unfortunately, to prove a point, he got caught faking by having rocks in his pockets at Borley Rectory. And one of the wives, as well, of one of the ministers now, my old treasurer, Yolanda, she was a Borley Rectory nut. I mean, she actually owns part of the fireplace, a chunk of the fireplace, and she could tell you all about that place. But it moved into the church after it burnt down, and they seemed to be getting stuff at the church where these apparent nuns' remains were buried. So when the actual house burnt down, and no one knows why it caught fire, the spirits seemed to move into the church. And I remember the BBC actually doing a piece years ago, and you could hear things going on in the church, footsteps, voices, that sort of thing, things being thrown. But I think they did a radio piece back in whether it was the 70s or 80s. I couldn't tell you, it was a while ago. But Borley Rectory, it's not something that's really talked about much now in the paranormal world. I think it's kind of like fallen by the wayside. Things like 30 Drive and Enfield and places like that have kind of like overtaken the most haunted house in the UK sort of thing. But Borley Rectory. And we have one in Torquay, Castle Les Mares, which back in the 1800s is known as the UK's Amityville. So there was a lot of poltergeist activity going on there. The house was abandoned. Eventually it was torn down and more villas were built in its place. But Castle Les Mares in Torquay, it attracted the great and the good of the time. But Torquay is a little bit of an occultist hotspot. It's meant to be the most haunted town, according to Zoopla, in the UK. I mean, the local council like to admit to this, but this is where Aleister Crowley actually fell in love with the craft and the occult, and this is where he started his practice. He was staying with a guy called Leighton Bueller, Lord Leighton Bueller, higher up on Warren Road. The house is still there. Loads of extensions to it now, but the house is still there. But this is where Crowley kind of fell in love with the craft, and we've had Bowie, the Stones, all the rest of it. They used to come down here and do occult stuff. And the Rolling Stones, apparently, so the story goes, wrote Sympathy for the Devil while staying at the Grand Hotel in Torquay, because it kind of looks like Herman Munster's house or the Addams Family mansion. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. So Torquay is known for being a little bit of an occult hotspot. A lot of UFO stuff happens over here. And so I'm living in the right town, really.
Yeah,
but this place isn't haunted. My first house that isn't haunted. It's great. So peaceful.
Okay. Well, we can make it haunted. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No. They can stay outside.
So going back here, I love talking to my UK people because of the famous cases.
Yeah.
Borley Rectory. And you mentioned the Enfield poltergeist. What is your stand on that? Because that is another similar to the Borley Rectory where it's kind of, I don't know, right?
I think genuine stuff went on there. I think the kids did play to it for attention because they're kids. And, that's what they're going to do. They're getting attention. They love it, especially with the family dynamic that was going on. The father had gone. One of the little boys was in a behavioral school. They were an impoverished family, so they weren't exactly like middle class. They were working class. You're going back to the 70s where, conditions weren't exactly like, what they are today. Janet's been scarred for life, bless her, and she'll very, very, very rarely talk about it. I read Guy's book, This House is Haunted, years ago. I was, looking to interview him at the time, and I tried to get hold of Janet, and she didn't want to know, bless her. She just wanted to leave it all behind.
Yeah, sure.
Which is fair enough at the end of the day. I think she's been vilified and taken the mick out of in the press. The UK mainstream media does treat the supernatural as a bit Scooby-Doo, a bit X-Files, so they don't really take it seriously. It's kind of like a bit woo-woo. So I think she's had a lot of bad experiences with the press and a lot of people making fun. I believe something went down there. Reading Guy Lyon Playfair's book and the SPR files, even though the SPR were like, oh, no. But, they can only see one aspect of the kids, having a bit of a laugh and a joke. They're getting all this attention, so of course they're going to. Is all the activity real? I don't know. I wasn't there, so I couldn't comment on what was real and what was not.
Right.
But I believe something went down, and whether it was a PK event, psychokinesis from the children, or whether it was an actual haunting, I just don't know. Demonic? No. Warren's involved? No. They turned up, and Guy showed them the door, basically. Yeah. They were like, oh, we can make some money off this. And they were like, no.
Yes. Yeah.
But it makes a good Conjuring film, I guess.
Yeah, right. The Warrens here in America is a love-hate relationship. Yeah. I'm going to do a episode on it eventually, because the husband, Mr. Warren, all I can say is he's a scumbag. He's not who you think he was. And his wife, I think she was along for the ride and got caught up in it and started to be like, oh, hey, we can start making
on the go there.
Yeah. We can start. Yeah. Right. We start making some money. Not to say she didn't have abilities, but the only credit I give the Warrens, and is that they brought paranormal to the forefront. It made people think. Yeah. Made people go, maybe isn't woo woo. Maybe there is some things going on. And in America right now, and might come over to the UK or whoever, is Annabelle, which I'm sure you're familiar with, Annabelle the doll.
Yes, that's had a bit of press lately, hasn't it? My word.
Yes. And that's another thing that I've spoke to other paranormal investigators. What is kind of your feeling on cursed objects? This is a cursed doll.
Yeah.
Do you believe in them, or do you think some of it is just coming from the energy around the person going into of energy? We got the kitty coming in, right?
Yeah, he's coming. My little black cat.
So do you think it's energy that's going into the doll, Abbie, or do you really think there is a cursed doll? Annabelle is cursed and can have that power to hurt people.
Annabelle, with the Warrens' involvement, I think is a bit suspect. Robert, on the other hand, I wouldn't want to take his picture, put it that way.
Yeah.
I ain't risking that one.
Absolutely.
I think, again, you're going into the realms of quantum physics here, aren't you? And all the rest of it, and tulpas, and what you put attention into is what energy you get. So, has there been an entity created around Annabelle because of everything? And especially, since the movies, since the hype, since Ghost Adventures, since the tour, and all these things going on around it. The poor chap that lost his life recently, the investigator that passed away, that's
Dan Rivera.
horrible. Yep. It's 48 Hours Haunted. Is he from Netflix, I believe?
Yeah.
And, that's awful. But then to have his death kind of glorified through this doll.
Yeah, capitalized on.
Yeah, it's a bit disrespectful to him and his family. And I think it's a bit, hit and miss with that one. Again, I've never been in the presence of Annabelle, so I could not tell you if there's an energy there or not. But,
right. Yeah. And the controversy right now is a comedian, an American comedian and a paranormal investigator has bought the Warrens Museum.
Yeah.
and bought I believe the Conjuring house or whatever they've bought, and they're allowing
Is the
paranormal.
Conjuring house, because that was a bit of a hot topic, isn't it, with
Yeah,
the new owner,
that's
bless her?
another one. That's I don't know. Well, that went through a lot of different things, and just really quickly, it's just the woman who bought it for a ton of money. She overspent for it, and then she was trying to make money, so she was charging paranormal investigators outrageous fees to come in there, and people were like, "Hey, it's not our fault that you overpaid for this house, lady. You can't like take advantage of us because we want to help you." And she wasn't looking at it like that. She was looking at like, again, capitalizing
Yeah.
on The Conjuring, capitalizing on the Conjuring movies, capturing on the Warrens, involvement.
And
And
she outbid someone, didn't she? She
correct.
undercut all. Yeah, she was a bit sneaky with that. But the videos that are what I mean, Jason Howe, I mean, what she's put them through. I mean, Ghost Hunters, I mean, again, their rep has been again, it's made for telly. So again, the
Yeah,
networks
yeah,
want the activity, otherwise they drop the show. So unfortunately people
yeah.
have to
Right.
perform. And whether they agree with it or not, it's the nature of the beast. It's mainstream, you know. If a network
Absolutely.
picks up your show and you can't guarantee paranormal activity, you just can't. It just
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't agree with faking, but it's made for telly.
yeah,
It's entertainment purposes only.
yeah, yeah.
But what she's put them through, and then all the people that have been there, and they've released the videos where she's come in and she's having a go at them, and she's saying you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, or she's kicked them out halfway through.
Mhm.
After they've actually spent over the odds to actually hire this place out. And I believe her license was taken away, but she still carried on trying to push the nights. I mean, I think she's from looking at the case there, it's someone that needs a little bit of help in life, and maybe that needs to be concentrated on more than a haunted place, because that can actually do more damage if you need just a little bit
Absolutely.
of emotional help. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So there's a couple other cases that in the UK that I'm kinda interested in, get
yeah.
your take on, is the Black Monk of Pontefract. That's kinda interesting to me because people said it looks like a simple building, flat, whatever, what do they call it? Common houses? What do you guys
Council
call
house,
it?
council
Council
house.
houses,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
same with the Enfield council house.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, what is I mean, that got a lot of press, right? And still to this day, I guess you can go in there and investigate. Is that true or not?
You can hire out 30 East Drive to investigate. I haven't, and I don't think I ever will, because again, too much hype. It would be like Bodmin Jail is now what we call an overfished venue.
Sure.
So people are going in all the time. So if there is anything there, it's going to be, rest in peace. Is there anybody there? No,
Yeah.
bugger off.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Same questions every week. No, I'm not a performing monkey.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I love that because we have a place in the States, in state of Iowa, called the
yeah,
Vliska Axe Murder House.
yeah,
Okay, and investigators have gone, I've been there a couple of times, not to investigate, but to check it out stuff because I love the history. But investigators who have been there have said the same thing you're saying. It's like they want to be left alone. It's not that they do anything, like they'll go in there, Abby, and be like, it feels dead. Not
yeah.
to be a play on words, but
No,
right? It just
yeah,
like bugger
seriously.
off, right? Like
Yeah,
you said, I've had enough. There's people in and out of this damn house
yeah,
constantly. I'm not a performing monkey, like you
yeah,
said. They're like people, and people don't understand that. Is
yeah.
if you're a ghost and it's just over and over and over, and you're just like you're a person at one time. Can you
You
leave?
get sick of it. You get sick
Yeah,
of it. It's like,
yeah, yeah,
being called by a call center 24/7. It's just, go away.
yeah,
No more cold calls, quite literally. Yeah, I mean, you often find the most infamous places are the most dead because they're
hmm,
overfished. I mean, I know we go in and we investigate, it's not entertainment for Haunted Devon, it's not thrill seeking, it's again history, it's the knowledge, it's the actual paranormal itself. Is this place haunted? Can we debunk a lot of it? Is there a lot going on that's natural that people are putting down to hauntings? But also as well, if there's any spirits there that just want to move on, that haven't been
yeah,
able to. So
correct.
I mean, a lot of venues don't like, but we kind of like going, move on. We help move them on if they want
Yes.
to. So we're not going to keep them down for entertainment purposes only or thrill seekers.
Yes.
Because, they're people and they've had lives, they've had trauma, they've had sadness in their life. And for whatever reason they chose to remain or been trapped in a property. And if we can help release them, then yeah, we will, because they're not there for entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's switch gears a little bit. One of the things, because you talk about UFOs, is one of the most famous cases is the Rendlesham Forest incident. Is that correct? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Now that is fascinating to me because you have people, military people, who why would they lie? Why would, there's nothing to get out of this, right?
There's not.
There's literally nothing. I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
Rendlesham, again, at the time, people didn't realize it was storing nucleus and nuclear munitions and stuff like that. That was all top secret. So you find a lot of UFO activity happens around like this. Activity is still going on to this day. A friend of mine, Andy DeCoates from Alienate UK, was actually in Rendlesham last night, and they had some activity go on. He put a photograph online where he's just got one spot of blood on his pillow he woke up with this morning. He was like, that's weird. I'm like, did you cut yourself, mate? Or, shaving or whatever? And he's like, no. I was thinking you would have smeared on your pillow, surely. So that was a bit odd. Not putting it down to anything paranormal, but just odd. But I interviewed a ex-CID officer called John Hanson a couple of months ago, and hopefully meeting up with him at the end of the month at the 60th anniversary of the Warminster thing. And he's been to Rendlesham a lot. He's done books with Colonel Holt called The Holt Perspective. And the stuff that goes on there, even to this day, I mean, they get apports, things appearing and just dropping next to you in the woods. The lights up the drive are still there. The UFO sightings are still there. People see figures in the woods. People spotted figures in the woods last night. So there's definitely still something going on at Rendlesham, and it's somewhere I want to go and investigate personally. I couldn't believe Andy was there last night. I was like, dude, you should have said.
Yeah.
But I think definitely something happened at Rendlesham. It wasn't the lighthouse. It wasn't Venus reflecting off cabbages, and it wasn't
swamp gas.
And it wasn't the other army soldiers, the Americans or the Brits playing pranks on one another, because it happened to the RAF base a couple of weeks or a couple of nights before there was activity going on. So I think Rendlesham is one of those hotspots. But also as well, John Hanson found out that there were tumuli, which are ancient standing stones and ancient burial mounds, actually in Rendlesham Forest itself. Oh, there goes Jack.
That's just a cat, folks, not a cryptid or a monster. It's just Abbie's cat.
The beast of Torquay, or Lord Darkness, as he prefers. But, there's ancient sites there, and apparently there was this mound close to the size of Silbury Hill, which has been since eroded through, forestry, ploughing, farming, that sort of thing. But it's funny how these UFO and spiritual sightings and this activity goes on around these ancient landscapes, such as Wiltshire, such as, Rendlesham, and loads of places across the world. I mean, you guys have it as well. I mean, you guys have got some really ancient monuments and ancient stuff that hasn't been quite dated properly, but it's not been dated properly in this country either. So, yeah.
And that's really interesting. And one of the biggest things between UFO cases in UK, international, I should say, in general, in America, like, for example, we have obviously Area 51.
Yeah.
We have the Roswell incident.
Yeah.
We have, I did a story on the Dulce base. Dulce base is fascinating. If you could ever get a chance to look at this, it's in New Mexico. It is a real base. This isn't made up. I don't know how much you've heard about it. But what fascinated me is the government has come out and basically say, yeah, there's things going on there. And it's just really weird. But my favorite part of it, there's this level, I believe it's area or level 7, which they call the nightmare level. It's where they take hybrid alien-human hybrids, alien-human-animal hybrids, and supposedly, believe what you want to believe, people who have worked there have said, if any of those things get out, it will kill hundreds of people. what it's like these monsters they've made,
Yeah.
and these like taking aliens and it's
Very,
just like
very Dr. Monroe.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. And then obviously one of the biggest things that they've done numerous research on that I don't know if you're familiar with is the Skinwalker Ranch.
I'd love to go there. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, I would give my another tooth to go there. Lost one this week. I'll give another one.
Right, and that has been over and over and over and over where they have found things, but here's the thing that I think is really interesting. Maybe it's different where you live, but the military, has come out and showed the Tic Tac UFO and show, fighter pilots, hey, we got this, film or video, whatever you want to say. And the collective American public went, yeah, like nobody really cared. But people like us cared.
Yeah.
But in general, the general public went, that's nice.
Well, they released it during a global pandemic. I mean, say what you will about that.
Yeah.
They released it in a global pandemic, so it was a case of, when do you disclose that with there's aliens on this planet? I know, when everyone's distracted and thinking about something else.
Right.
So it's just like cost of living, World War III, global pandemic, aliens are real. All right, cool. Next. What's on? Did I have that on my year bingo card? Yeah.
Yeah, let me look at my phone. Yeah, there it is. Click. Bingo.
I'd love to go to Skinwalker, though. We have the same sort of thing here in Wiltshire and around here in the area.
Okay, and what's that?
Wiltshire is, where Stonehenge is, Avebury Stone Circle, and that place is a major, major hotspot, and that's where the crop circle phenomena kind of started off in the UK back in the 90s. Oh, I've had some pretty weird experiences out there. And that kind of started off noticing the UFO stuff with me. And I didn't know there was a term for it, being a paranormal investigator and which a ufologist. I've just recently found out that there's a term for what's been happening to me for the past since 2012, which is a CE5, apparently. I was like,
okay, what's that?
CE5?
Yeah.
Apparently a CE5 is someone that can interact with UFOs, and if you meditate and you get in the right frequency, you can actually get them to appear. So this kind of started around 2012. Me and my co-host at the time, who's since retired, Martin Hicks, he is one of the people that run the Plymouth UFO Research Group, which is, I believe, the oldest UFO group within the UK. I mean, it's pretty much defunct now. There's only 2 members, and they hold the archive. But I went out with Martin, and this is when we first started doing the show. And it's not crop circles, UFOs. Wasn't really something I really put too much stock to. Experience. I'd had a few sightings of UFOs and that, and just thought, cool, lights in the sky. Sure. But I was primarily focused on the spiritual, ghosts, hauntings, histories, that sort of thing. And we went out to Wiltshire in 2012, and my mind was blown away for a start with all the ancient sites, the energy. It was during a full moon. I think it was the 4th of August. The Olympics were going on in the UK at the same time. The first night we went to this pub, it's called the Red Lion, and it actually sits in the village of Avebury, which is surrounded by the largest stone circle in Europe. And the actual village sits inside this stone circle. It surrounds it in this henge. And we went back to the tent because we were camping above a place called Eastfield, where you've had a lot of UFOs, you've had a lot of crop circles and stuff like that happen. And as we were leaving the pub at the time, there was this group of people all in robes and cloaks huddled around what's known as the Devil's Stone. And they were doing rituals and stuff like that. We found corn dollies with red thread around them, which again is ritualistic. Placed there, a stone circle, and also a place called Silbury Hill. And on the Saturday, there was a crop circle just outside Avebury Stone Circle. We called it the Clock. And, this was my first time ever in a crop circle. It was like, wow, man. And we were taking all sorts of readings. I had my tri-field out. I had my dowsing rods. And I was like trying to get some scientific measurements here. Not just for the energies for the land and the crop circle itself, but people have been coming in and meditating and trying to measure the energy of that. And how does that affect it? And will that throw off the readings and stuff like that? Does that generate activity? And Martin was taking photos. He had his step ladder, he had his pole. Like, this is before the days of like drones were widely available and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to go old school.
Yeah.
And I kind of like wandered off by myself. It was getting dark, and I sat in one of these little circles because there was lots of them within this massive complex. And I just did some meditating, and I actually did a bit of healing into the ground. And I just said, like, I'm giving back. And I said, I'm opening up. If there's anything I need to know, I'm willing, I'm open, I'm here, I'm present. Show me, teach me. With that, I heard something treading on the corn behind me. So I turn around, whip my head around, thinking it's Martin, and I call him, and he's 100 yards away because he was on the other side of the circle. And I was like, okay, then, So I kind of like wandered back, and he said he saw an orb of light as I was coming in my direction as I was wandering back.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're just sitting there. We've got a blanket. We're looking up at the stars. Philosophizing. Can't get my words out today. Philosophizing.
Gotcha.
And we both feel this changing energy, and it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel nasty. It just feels a bit heavy. And we both look up, and there is this 7-foot hooded, dark, solid figure just at the edge of the crop circle watching us. And we're like, okay, time to go.
Yeah.
So we felt a little bit unwelcome. It felt like, okay, time to move on. So we were like, okay, we'll get out your space. We'll respect it. Time to move on. So we did. And apparently these things are guardians. This thing followed me all night. This, yeah. He became my mate. He became my mate. But these, you have crop circle hoaxers that actually say they are chased out of field by these big hooded things. So to me, they're guardians of the land, this ancient place. Also as well, the military are told, you get the white beings and you get the dark beings. I interacted with both, although I didn't realise one was actual being at the time. I thought it was person. This was back in 2018, a few years later. Again, with a friend of mine, a photographer, so, there was witnesses to it. And so the military are actually, when they're on manoeuvres on the planes, told not to interact with these things. They're the guardians, they're there, just don't interact with them, ignore them. And this is coming from the military, And Martin goes into the pub because he asks them to fill up a flask of water, hot water, so we can make cups of tea throughout the night, doing all night watch. And with that, a torrent of police cars go rushing past us and head up the road to Swindon. So Martin was like, come on then, let's get in the car and go and have a look. So we went to have a look, and then we went up to a place called Hackfen Hill. And it's on the ancient ridgeway, and it's got these 3 coppice of little forests, and it heads to a place called Barbary Castle, which is a very, very ancient hill fort, and a lot of stuff up there. So we're sat up there in this car park next to this place called Hackfen Hill, and we're by this coppice of trees, which we kindly refer to as the coppice of doom, since. And we're outside and we're sitting, we can see these orbs of light in the sky. I'm like, do you know what I mean? Really getting some activity. And then we notice some noise and coming from the coppice of trees, and we turn around and there's these orbs of light literally flying in and out the trees. And then these beams of light, and we've caught some of this on camera, beams of light going literally straight up into the sky, like someone's got a spotlight in there at a concert. So you need all the rigs, the cables, and all the rest of it. There's none of that there.
Yeah.
With that, this blue van turns up. This guy in this blue van and this transit, and he just sits in the car park, and he's just staring at me and Martin. He's like the cigarette smoking guy off the X-Files. He's literally chain smoking. Yeah. There's all this stuff going on right next to us, lighting up like Blackpool illumination. Not even looking at that. He's fixed on us. Okay. So we're just kind of ignoring him. And I'm like, I want to go and check this out. I'm like foolhardy, yeah, what is this? And Martin's like, no, stay back. And I'm like, oh no, sod this. I'm going to go and check it out. What is it? Is someone having a rave? Is it whatever, because there's a lot of ritual stuff going on. It's going on in these woods. So I start walking up the road, this little trackway walking up the road. And with that, this bright ball of light, it's got to be the size of a basketball, comes floating down this trackway at us at speed. I kind of stop in my tracks, and I'm like, Martin grabs me, pulls me back, And as if like, and we get into the car as if to say, no, that's enough. We're going now.
Right.
With that, I look in the rearview mirror and the whole thing is lit up like Christmas. I mean, there's this big, massive beam of light literally just coming from the center of these woods and all these lights flying around. And I've caught this on camera in the rearview mirror. And we get out the car and I'm like, Martin, look at the lights, look at the lights, look at the lights. And we're both sitting there like, what the actual...
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with that, this minivan literally speeds into the car park, nearly runs us over and speeds up this trackway to where all these lights are going on and then just disappears into the woods.
Wow.
It just disappeared. With that, we were like, okay, now it's time to go. And we got into the car and then we had these people following us. And I mean, they were riding us, flashing their lights right at the back end of the car. And we were like, what the frick is going on here? What have we stumbled into? What the hell is going on? Have we stumbled into some sort of like Rockefeller ritual? Because they own most of the land around there. Rockefeller ritual or something like that. What the hell? So Martin didn't indicate. He indicated left and then like took a sharp right and then went back to like towards A Street to kind of like lose them. And we parked up near Silbury Hill opposite it with this bus station. And Martin, bless him, he was sick because what the hell, you know? And there was helicopters everywhere. There was police everywhere. So he took us up to a place called West Alverton. Again, where every time we go over this hill, something happens. The year after when we went up to the hill, something hit the back of the car, like a branch fell on it. We got out of the car, there was nothing there. But we both felt this. We got to the top of West Alverton Hill and it was a place called the Sanctuary. Now, it used to have standing stones there, but they planted these little trees there. I think they're trying to like keep it away from people. And we're looking down over what I didn't know was a stone called the Adam and Eve stone, down on the valley going part of the Aylesbury complex. And it's part of the stone road that goes into the Aylesbury Stone Circle. And again, this beam of light goes up into the sky again. And we're like, what the hell is going on? And at this time, there are helicopters around. And I've had enough. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Enough. And with that, there's this voice and we can hear someone walking up the hill. And this is like, 2:00 in the morning. There's no one else about. We're the only ones stupid enough to be out at this time,
Right.
And I'm like, and apparently it's called the Invisible Walker. It's a known phenomenon up this hill. I didn't know that at the time. Anyway, we get in the car. I'm smoking at the time, so I'm there frantically rolling a cigarette because I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Martin is driving and all of a sudden he brakes suddenly. I push forward and put my hand on the dash and I was like, what the bloody hell is that? He said something flew at the window. He said this face just came at me and flew at the window and I just stopped. With that, this mist and fog just descended all over Wiltshire. And now we're camping on top of one of the highest points of Wiltshire above this field, which gets loads of alien and UFO activity. And he did stay in the tent with me because he was sleeping in the car. I was sleeping in the tent, being a gentleman, of course. But he did stay in the tent with me that night because it was just madness. And I just didn't really want to be on my own after all of that.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, ever since, the year after was crazier. The year after was great. That went on for 6 hours. But ever since then, I see regular lights in the sky. So I see the white orbs. Not all the time. Sometimes it'll go months, 6 months and that, stuff like that. And then there'll be a spate of them. But I don't know if I'm just noticing it more now. But when I meditate and call in the activity, it generally does appear. So, and I didn't realise there was a name for it. And I always thought, I'm going mad, this is just ridiculous. Bloody UFOs, what you on about, you daft cow? What? And it wasn't until I was talking to John Hanson about it. And he said, oh, yeah, that's the... And that's when it... Close Encounter 5. And I'd heard of 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Obviously, 3 with Stephen King. But I'd never heard of C5. But ever since then, ever since I originally connected that night, and be careful what you wish for in the paranormal world. Yeah, I'm open.
Yeah.
Teach me what you want.
Yeah, let's try this. Yeah, this works out. Yeah.
Ever since then, I get the lights in the sky, and you see them quite often. And it's like, people have seen I've seen a UFO, and I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting. So one of the questions I want to know, I ask everybody regarding UFOs and aliens or extraterrestrials, however you want to say, what do you think they want? Do you think they're here to help us, or you think they're here to harm us? I've gotten both different people telling me who haven't interviewed said they're here to help us, to say like, you are screwing up the planet, you better do something about it or it's over. And I've gotten people who have been abducted, who have been hurt by aliens, and to say they're here to hurt us. They're here to find our weakness and take over.
I've
Okay,
never
so where do you stand?
I've never had a negative experience. I mean, I did have a health decline after that experience in 20s, and apparently that's quite common. My health declined quite rapidly afterwards, but the experiences I've had have never been negative. I
Okay,
think maybe there's more than one kind. So you've got the ones that experiment and abduct. That's not an experience I've ever had. I've never had an abduction experience. I've never missed time or anything like that. But the things that I get seem to be benevolent rather than malevolent. It doesn't feel
good.
threatening. You kind of get like it's almost comforting. So I've had them show up at times when I've been going through stuff. And it's like, that's normally when you get a space of them. And it's just like, as if to say like, oh, you're all right, love, carry on. You know,
Nice.
the cosmic wing, you're in the, you're all right, carry on. Don't give up.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they've always been here. I think they've been here longer than us. I mean, maybe they are responsible for us. I mean, there's genetics that they can't explain with us. There's a
Sure.
missing link. But I think it's also an interdimensional thing as well. I don't think we're quite on their frequency. So maybe they're here, but we just don't know. I mean, our band of frequency, visible light, and what we sense is like about that big compared to... Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. All I know is I see lights in the skies.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, that's interesting. I love that. I love that story. That's so fascinating. And there's so many stories like that. I think too that people are not willing to tell or want to tell, whatever you want to say, because unfortunately there's a stigmatism to it. Like, oh yeah, right, okay. I think that's slowly going away, at least here in the United States.
Yeah.
But I do know in the UK and Australia from talking to people who live there like yourself, there's kind of like kind of woo-woo, like you said.
I experienced it, that and 2013. I've not had 2 years like that. That was just mental. But I was there. There was witnesses there, and even I struggled to believe it still. I mean, I was
Absolutely.
Literally. I mean, we did a show a week later, and Martin had to take over for me because I was still just not with it. I was just totally in a daze and just like, what?
Sure. Yeah, I don't blame you.
And if you go back and listen to the 2012 Wiltshire show on Lifting the Veil on Mixcloud, well, yeah, I'm just like,
yeah. Oh, of course. Who wouldn't be? So let's talk. As we wrap up here, Abbie, let's talk about Haunted Devon and your radio show.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about, a little bit more about that. What do you have coming up, or what episodes are you especially proud of that you've done, that you've been like, hey, check this out? Because I'd love to check out those episodes.
There's a few. I mean, there's the back catalogue from, because I took a break and I went and worked for the dark side for a bit. I worked for the BBC for a bit, so I couldn't. I know. I went to the dark side for a bit and worked for Radio Devon for a few years, so I couldn't carry on. Then I was like, wasn't permitted to. But the new ones I've just interviewed Heidi Hollis, John Hanson, ex-CID, who's got the biggest personal UFO archive and books that, 22 books that he's written on the subject, all police, military, stuff like that, what people witness. Fascinating. So yeah, definitely go and check him out. Haunted Devon. Well, Haunted Devon's been going around since 2005. We're a non-profit, so we're a club. So we do it for the passion. We don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the fame. And we're a team of like-minded people. We like to investigate a healthy balance of spiritual and scientific. If we can debunk something, we will and can and do. Much to sometimes the venues disagree. And it's just like, no, keep the haunted history. But yeah, Haunted Devon's been going around a while. It's run by a committee of volunteers. Sally, my secretary, she does all the reports, the EVP work, and we go through them together. Kelly's my treasurer. Ben does the webmaster. Mary's my tech. And Mary and Aline are the newest members of the committee, and she does my venues as well. So we kind of all work as a group. There's not kind of like one person in charge. It's a bit of a democracy. Yeah, and we do it for the members. And yeah, we investigate once a month. We keep costs as low as physically possible, so only as much as the venue charges. We do a lot of reports as well that you can find on the website that are interactive, so you can listen to the EVPs as you're reading along. I mean, you've seen the reports are extensive. Sally dives deep, especially with the history after the fact.
Yes.
Those are the ones that are venues that are actually open to the public. There's a lot of stuff that we can't say and do because those reports are restricted for the members. They're not open to the public because people don't want to know they're haunted or, the wedding venues or schools and stuff like that. So we've had to sign a few NDAs in the past when we've investigated, but the report's there, the evidence is there. It's just that we cannot release that to the public. So that is for our private archives. But the National Trust, we've been called into a couple of years ago now, back in 2016, we were called into a place called Dunster Castle in Minehead. It's kind of like on the border between Devon and Somerset. And they wanted a report for the Halloween ghost tours. So they wanted to know what was going on. So we went in and we did a report for them, 135 pages. It took all summer, that one.
Yeah.
But we got some great evidence, and we think we've identified the Grey Lady. We caught a picture of what we thought was a ghost. This thing could have gone national papers. It even looked like the ancestral owner. It really did.
Wow.
It wasn't. It was a bit of pareidolia on a reflection on the perspex because there was a secret passage, so they put perspex on the wallpaper.
Sure.
People used to put their hand there and look down this secret passage. But this thing just looked so much like Thomas Luttrell. It really did. It wasn't. It was Christina, one of my members, Sally's daughter, and we were there on the recce. Haunted Devon, we weren't just going to take that as it's a ghost. So we came in with a lighting rig and tried to recreate the lighting because it was midday. Obviously, we were going to go back and investigate overnight, get all the lighting conditions right so we could recreate this image to think this can't be, it's too good to be true. And it turned out to be a reflection, but
Okay. Well, it's okay.
It's always good. You've got to be most skeptical of your own evidence, because if you can rule out all the mundane, if you can rule out all the environmental, and then you're left with something you can't explain, then that's interesting. That's what I like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Abbie, I could talk to you for hours, and you're amazing. I'd love to have you back on the show because we didn't get to something that all my UK people I love to ask about. Maybe you were a little too young, but the famous TV show that UK people believe to be true, Ghost Watch.
Yes, I remember it. I watched it. I remember being freaked out as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a whole different episode. I had a couple people on from the Ghost Story guys to Liam Spooky Shed podcast. I had him on too. We talked a little bit about it, but they also had Chris from Strange States. Wow. I think he's more in Ireland.
Yeah.
UK. Yeah. Anyway, he, like I said, I'll have you back on. We'll talk more about it. But just definitely. In general, I thought it was really fascinating that the fact, like he said, he was a teenager too, and he missed the little blurb at the beginning that said, this is for entertainment. Yeah. This is for entertainment only purposes, which most people did. And I couldn't imagine if I'm a kid and that pops up and you didn't see that little warning and you're like, this is the 80s, or was it 80s or 90s? No, 80s, correct?
Late 80s, early 90s, I think.
Yeah. And that they had credible people. Right. Yes, they had, very credible people, kind of like we'd have credible anchors or newspaper reporters doing it. wasn't actors per se. They were actors, obviously, in there,
Yeah.
but the people reporting it were like,
They were
that's
your,
famous.
they were your news anchors. They were your staple Saturday night live entertainment sort of thing. They were your,
Yeah,
morning breakfast show, newscat. Yeah. So yeah, it was. And it was kind of like War of the Worlds on the radio,
yeah,
George Orwell. It
yeah,
kind of had that kind of effect. People did kind of get a little bit of mass hysteria from it because people believed it. And, the phone calls to the Beeb. I don't know if Ofcom was around in those days. It might have been, probably. Knowing the red tape here, probably. But yeah, it was just a massive thing, and it got banned. And I think you can just about find it on YouTube if you're lucky.
correct. Yes,
But
you can.
it was banned from the UK. They didn't air it again. And they didn't do anything like it again until Living TV came up with Most Haunted, Vet Fielding. Now, I remember Vet Fielding from a program called Blue Peter when I was younger. This used to be like after school show on the BBC where they cover a lot of topics and they make things out of sticky back plastic and your UK viewers, well, yeah, Tracy Island and all the rest of it from Thunderbirds. But
Sure.
yeah, this is how I remember Yvette Fielding as a kid. And then she started, obviously, Most Haunted on Living TV. And one of my friends actually used to work on it. Good friend of mine was one of the camera guys on that.
Nice.
Yeah, they started out again with brilliant intentions, and they sparked the modern day ghost investigation movement and all the programs since then. So like, Taps and Ghost Adventurers and, all the ones that have gone on since. I mean, in the UK, we don't really have any anymore, apart from Most Haunted, I guess, or Help My House is Haunted. It's again another one that's had a lot of controversy around it. Again, 30 East Drive, getting pulled up the stairs with a rope and things like that. So, I think they started off with good intentions, but I think, again, networks, pressure, kind of like, integrity goes out the window, doesn't it, a bit? So,
yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah,
That's a shame. Yeah.
Thing with faking, I've got to.
Yeah, it ruins it for everybody, in my opinion.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, there's misidentification, but
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. So, Abbie, what do you have coming up for my spooky friends so they can check you out? Like, where can they find you, and what do you got coming up?
You can find me at the minute on Mixcloud at Ghost Finder General, Lifting the Veil, where you can check out the newer shows and also some of my archive. I've interviewed some amazing people over the years, some great American guests, Andrea Perron and, Lucy Pringle, and, some of the Crop Circle stuff, Hutton Pulitzer and David Icke and things like that, going into the realms of conspiracy and whatnot. So yeah, lots of diverse topics, and the more recent shows, I had RPG Ryan Golan-Bleski on with Gib Bigfoot and little Daniel Barnett and John Hansen, obviously Heidi, and got to get you on, my dear, and find out some about these American hauntings. I mean, I love the American hauntings. I'd love to come over and investigate America. Your guys' energy and activity just seems to be so much more on the surface than it is in England. It really does.
Yeah.
But yeah,
awesome.
I mean, check out the Haunted Devon website, and yeah, if you're in the UK and you want to come and investigate with us, yeah, come and let us know. We're a non-profit group, so we do it for the passion, the history, and also as well to keep some of these old buildings alive as well, because it costs so much to maintain, and some of these businesses like foundations and museums and stuff like that. So we try and help those out as well, and like keep them going. And people that are trying to restore the old buildings. Yeah,
absolutely. And I will have all your links to all your sites and where you can check out, and like I said, anytime you can support, Abbie and her group, Haunted Devon, and her organization, please give, whether it's your time, whether it's your money, whether it's, hey, you just say, let's stop tearing down these great historical buildings for building whatever, a new restaurant or whatever. I get it, progress. I understand people. We got to make profit. We got to get jobs. I get it. But at the end of the day, you're going to regret. That's what I always say to people. You're going to, what happened to our history? Well, it's gone now. And
That's
that happens.
we've we've got one at the minute that's well, we've got a few that's under threat, but there's one called the Real Cinema, and it used to be the old ABC and all the rest of it. It's built on a Napoleonic graveyard, so there's that. And there's a lot of stuff going on there. There's an actress called Emily who took her own life. She haunts the place, and there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of stuff from the war, because I say Plymouth got heavily blitzed in the war. The theatre didn't get hit itself, but the one across the road did, and everyone rushed in to there. So you've got a lot of residual from there. But it is one of the last Art Decos of its time, and it's going to be raised for either student accommodation or a car park or something. But there is a group out there called Save the Real, and it's one of those buildings we are hoping to try and keep for posterity. I mean, make it a concert venue, make it something. But
Exactly.
don't tear it down. Don't tear it
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you, Abbie. Again, I truly appreciate you. You're an amazing person with great stories. I love to have you on again. I know. That's why I got to have you on again. And, if we ever could figure out that I could be on your show, I would love to. We could figure that out, and everything. But again, thank you again so much. I truly appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
And, keep up what you're doing. We totally need it in today's world to bring history to the forefront and also educate people about the paranormal. That's extremely important, and that should never be lost. So,
definitely.
Great. Well, thank you again, Abbie. And remember, stay spooky.
Love it.
Bye, Abbie. Thank you so much. Love it. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.